Today we are going to dig through more of my vinyl collection and the artists to begin with the letter S. So let's begin. First up from 2010, we have the Screamin' Females, Castle Talk. Saw this band for the first time live in 2013 at Maxwell's in Hoboken, which is no longer a music venue, unfortunately. Went and saw them on a broken foot. You heard that correct. I went on a broken foot, which I didn't know was broken at the time, but I probably should have known that it was because I was in mucho pain. I always tell the story seeing them live for the first time. The singer, guitar player, Marissa of this band is like insane on the guitar. And I always say, when I saw them live for the first time and saw her in person playing guitar, I knew she was a good guitar player, but seeing her live and playing in front of me, a few feet, I always say this must have been what it was like to see Jimi Hendrix or Eddie Van Halen before they were famous or before anybody knew who they were in a club or something like that, because it just blew me away. I mean, afterwards I would drag people to come see them just to see her play. Just, whether you like the band or not, you got to see her play. It's just insane. She's just amazing, and writes some really good tunes. Her singing voice maybe is a little bit of an acquired taste. I like it, but I could understand if people aren't crazy about it. But, I always dug them from the first time I heard them. Picked this up at Jack's in Red Bank. Wanted some Screamin' Females on vinyl, and I guess this is what they had, so I picked it up. Some of the tunes on here I really like is Laura and Marty. I Don't Mind It is really, really good. Those are the main tunes that I really like. Some of the titles are slipping my mind, but I'm sure there's a couple more songs on here that I really dig. But great band. If you ever get the chance to see them live, if we can ever go see live music again, by all means, you should check them out and just to see her play. From 2018, more Screamin' Females, All at Once. Picked this up at the Atomic Pop Shop in Baton Rouge. Had this on CD already, really, really liked it. It's on 2 records, maybe 180 gram. They're pretty heavy. This is their most recent studio record they've released. I think they've put out a singles collection since, but I don't think they've got any new studio records since. This is all Marissa, the lead singer, guitar player's artwork. I feel like this is their most accessible record that they've put out so far. So if you are not familiar with this band and you want to kind of give them a try, I think I'd say start with this one and see what you think. Because like I said, I think the songs on here are pretty... There's some really, catchy stuff, and just I feel like maybe her best songwriting is on this record. Some of the tunes on here, I'll Make You Sorry is really great. Deeply, Chamber for Sleep, I can't remember if it's part 1 or part 2 that I really, really like. Bird in Space is good. My Body is good. Just a really good, excellent album. Rock, punk kind of edge to them. Great band to see them live, like I've said. Fantastic. Love this band. 1985, Shriekback, Oil and Gold. Picked this up at Scully's in New Orleans, which I believe the store is closed down. They might still be selling stuff online, but unfortunately I believe the store is closed down, which is a bummer because it was really cool. It's a small little shop on I think it was on Bourbon Street actually, right in the thick of everything, but kind of catered more towards punk and I guess new wave and stuff like that, which really was cool, which I appreciated. Owner was usually pretty cool to talk to. Got into Shriekback, first heard them in 85, I think, when I saw the Nemesis video on U68. Gave me nightmares. I think I talked about it once before. But it was one of those things, at first when I saw that video, it was me and my friend, we kind of goof on it, this is insane, But then it was you kept seeing it, and then it became one of those things I'm not goofing on this anymore. I dig this, man. I like this song. And probably a few years after that, I got the CD, and I really, really liked it. When I saw this in Scully's, I think maybe it was $7. My favorite record that they put out. Like the three in the 80s, I mentioned this once before. This album, Big Night Music, which came after this, and Go Bang, I really like. Some of the tunes on here, Malaria, Everything That Rises Must Converge, Fish Below the Ice is awesome, Big Hush, Hammerheads. It's all, the whole album's great. I love it from beginning to end. It's an awesome record. Kind of new wave, kind of art rock or whatever you want to call it, but it's a really good band. If you never heard of them, you should give them a try. Check out this record first if you've never heard them and you're gonna dig into them. I would say pick up this one and take a listen. 1989, we have the Sidewinders and Witch Doctor. I think this. Oh no, they had one record before this, and this I think is their second record. I picked this up at Freak Beat. They were having a crazy sale, like 50% off. I think it was 50% off, like everything in the store, maybe. But I just remember going there and picking up a bunch of CDs, and the place was packed. And I remember then I was like, let me go digging into vinyl a little bit, and I found this and I grabbed it. They were kind of like alternative rock, kind of, you'd hear them on like a lot of college radio and stuff like that. Some of the tunes on this record I really dig. The title track, Witch Doctor, Bad Crazy Sun. They do covers of Love 88 and Solitary Man. I think they were out of Arizona. They kind of had that kind of deserty kind of vibe to them, if that makes any sense to you. Like the Gin Blossoms later became really popular with a sort of similar kind of sound, I think. I think these guys and them sort of came from the same scene, actually. From 1990, we have the Sidewinders, Auntie Ramo's Pool Hall. So this came out after Witch Doctor. This was the first record that I heard by the Sidewinders. I heard this before Witch Doctor. We Don't Do That Anymore was kind of a pretty popular song on like alternative radio stations and got quite a bit of airplay. That's what I remember first hearing from them on our local station, FM 106.3, which used to be around here. It was a great station. It was like a regular radio station, but with the vibe of like a college radio, freeform radio. After this album, they had some sort of legal problems with the name of the band. There was another band called the Sidewinders who, I don't know if they still existed anymore, but they still had like the rights to that name, or I don't know what the deal was, but they had to change their name. They changed their name to the Sand Rubies, and I didn't even know they were still around. I found a Sand Rubies CD in like Virgin Megastore one day and saw that it was the names were the guys from the Sidewinders, and I was like, what? And I picked it up, and it's pretty good. I have it on CD. I feel like that lawsuit, having to change their name, they probably, I think, even think that kind of screwed them up, because it seemed like this record, they were just about to kind of break, maybe go to another level, and then all that stuff happened, and I think, it kind of delayed them putting out a new record, and then people didn't know that it was the same band, et cetera, and so it's kind of a bummer to see that happen to them. Some great tunes on this: Sarah's Not Sober, Get Out of That Town, If I Can't Have You, Blood on Our Hands, Come On Like the Sun. Never got to see them live. They still kind of exist, a form of them, as the Sand Rubies. And if they maybe play shows once in a blue moon, but I think they're always in Arizona. But it'd be cool to see these guys live and just hear them play some of these tunes. 1985 brings us Sting's debut solo album, Dream of the Blue Turtles. This was a very big hit record for him, kind of kicked off his solo career, kind of probably put a nail in the coffin of the Police, I would guess. It's a good record. I like it. His first two solo records I really dug. There was a documentary made around the making of this album that I remember seeing back in the day. I think it's called Bring On the Night, that I remember really liking. I haven't seen it since. I think it maybe pops up on Amazon every now and then to check out. I'd really like to see it again, just out of curiosity to see if it's as good as I remember it being. I had this album originally back in the day, and when I sold off all my records, when I didn't think I was going to be listening to records anymore, I didn't have a record player. This was one of them I sold off. And then, of course, when I got the turntable, I was kind of like, I wish I kept that. What I wish I'd kept even more was he put out a double live album called Bring On the Night after this. And I had that on vinyl as well. And I sold that too. And That one I wish I had kept even more than this, but it's a good record, you know. Tunes on here, you probably know most of these. If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free was the big first single. Love Is the Seventh Wave, Russians, We Work the Black Seam, Moon Over Bourbon Street, which was inspired by Interview with the Vampire, and Fortress Around Your Heart, which is also a pretty big single. You know, he's got a killer band on here, kind of a jazzy vibe to it, still kind of pop rock sort of, you know, but it's a good record. You know, I got this at the record store in Howell while they were closing, so I got it really cheap. I mean, I probably paid $2 or $3 for it. 2006, we've got The Strokes, First Impressions of Earth. Saw them live at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City in support of this record. Good show. Seen them live a couple of other times since then. Oh, you know, not the flashiest band, but good, solid show. Picked this up at Capital City Records in Baton Rouge, which I've talked about before. This is their third record. I think their first 3 records are pretty solid through and through. I think when this came out, a lot of people were a little down on it, but I really liked it. I still think it's a really good album, you know. What's on here? You've got You Only Live Once, Juice Box, Heart in a Cage, Razor Blade, Red Light is really good. A lot of cool tunes on here that I really like. I don't know what people's problem is with this album, but I just remember people seem to have a problem with it. But good, solid record, good band. They're still kind of surprisingly still putting out records. It's 2020. They just put out a new record earlier this year that I was a little hesitant. The album before that I wasn't crazy about at all, but that one really kind of, to me, is like kind of a, you know, they bounced back, you know, and made an excellent album. Would have been good to see them live, but all those plans changed. So that's it for this edition of the S Vinyl in my collection. Please subscribe, like the video. Really love to hear some comments from you, what you think of these records, the Strokes one, if you hated this album when it came out. I'd love to hear that, or a Sting solo record, any of this stuff. I'd love to hear your voices about any of this stuff. And thanks for watching, and I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.